Hi there, Agile friends. I'll come in here just with a quick note to let you know that the Agile Online Summit 2022 is coming soon. To know more, check out bit.ly/AOS2022. That's all one word, all lowercase, bit.ly/AOS 2022. Now, stick around to the end of the episode if you want to know more, but for now, on to the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Success Thursday. This week, we have with us from Tenerife, and color me jealous for that, Franny. Hey, Franny, welcome back.
Hi, it's been a pleasure so far. Really excited to be here.
Absolutely. So, by the way, if you want to hear me completely fail a geography test, go to the Monday episode. You will you'll find out when you get there. All right, Franny, let's go into the success question. But before we do that, actually, let's first talk about retrospectives. What's your favorite retrospective format and why?
So I was thinking about this, and then I was thinking on Monday, I shared that there's so many methods and methodologies, and I was also guilty for overwhelming people with methodologies. So I was like, maybe I don't add on to this, but I rather share another thing which I find really important in retrospective, and it's not one of these typical formats you can just follow. But in my opinion, retrospectives often lose its power because we don't focus on the action items that we've discussed too much. So I don't know if you've been there, dear listeners. You've been doing a retrospective, you've had really great discussions, and suddenly you look at the time and it's like 2 minutes left. Oh, shit. And I also wanted to do a closing, and now what do we do? Okay, so Peter, you take this action item. Okay, bye. Let's go for lunch. Something like this has happened to me. And also I've seen it a lot in teams that I've coached or Scrum Masters that I've coached or mentored. I see it a lot. And then what happens ultimately in the team or in the whole organization is that retrospectives lose its power. So I've had people come to the retrospective and say, why do we even waste this hour? Nothing ever changes or nothing ever happens.
And that's a big problem.
It's a really big problem. So what I really want to share as a format today is focus on the decide what to do. So that's in the classical retrospective steps. If you think about what ideas do you have, and maybe you either have this team with 1 million ideas, or maybe you have a team with 0 or 1 ideas, doesn't really matter. But talk about how will you implement these decided action items. Who is the responsible person? Like, it doesn't always need to be the Scrum Master who takes away all the impediments.
Actually, it should not be, if at all possible. It should not be the Scrum Master.
Yeah, it should not be the Scrum Master who takes away the action items. So who is going to do that? And there we talked about, I think it was 2 days ago, about sitting in silence. That was where I practiced sitting in silence, asking at the end of a retrospective, who feels drawn to this item, who wants to take it. And also what I like to do, maybe those of you who do OKRs, or I think in PI planning and SAFe, they also do it, is this confidence level. So how confident are we that we're going to reach this? So could be for a quarterly planning. But I do that with my retrospective items also. So if I feel like we have a really big item to tackle, or maybe we've come up with 5 ideas and we want to do all these experiments within the next sprint, then I sometimes ask them, so on a scale from 0 to 5, how confident are we that we can actually conduct these experiments within the next sprint, or whatever our horizon for this experiments is? And then you just point from 0 to 5, you show your confidence. You can do that with the hand and the camera, write a number in the chat, whatever you're using, do it in a room with your hand, and then just ask, similar to maybe when you're estimating, you can ask the person with the lowest confidence why they have a lower confidence, and the person with the highest confidence to just share their opinion. And for me, that's been really helpful. It's nothing I do every retrospective, but when I have a feeling that maybe we've tackled too much, or we've not really talked about a lot what we actually want to achieve with this new experiment, then I do that, and it's been really great and helpful. And on the long run, what I started to mention at the beginning of nothing ever happens in retrospectives, this really helps. So it really helps to talk about how do we really implement this and how confident are we that we can do this.
Also, because the fact that something happens after a retrospective will motivate people to participate in the next ones, right? Like if nothing happens, then people will step back and eventually they will show their demotivation by disengaging, right? Like not participating in the retro. But if they see concrete things that they have come up with happening, then it gets them more engaged and they invest even more into the retrospective.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the thing which often results out of that is like transparency. So do we want to put this experiment in our normal working product backlog item, product backlog, make it as an item there because it's something we work on in the next sprint, which for me is totally normal. But for a lot of people, it's like, but there's only like the code we develop in. And now we suddenly put like an experiment on, I don't know, how we test or how we whatever do in there. And like, yeah, it's something which helps us to reach our goals in the future and like deliver more. So obviously it works. So we put it in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's been really helpful as well. Like, and all these conversations come up if at the end you ask, okay, how can we assure that we actually achieve these ideas that we just had?
And talking about achieving, of course, we run these retrospectives because we want to hopefully have a positive impact in the teams that we work with. Therefore, we want to be successful at the role of Scrum Master. But before we can be successful, as one of my first guests mentioned many, many years ago, we first need to know what that is, right? So share with us, Franny, what's your definition for success in the Scrum Master role?
So I really enjoyed this question reflecting on beforehand. And for me, I think on a really personal level, I feel I'm successful when people come to me with uncomfortable situations. So on a personal level, and it can be one-on-one, it can be in retrospectives or in any other meeting, people speaking up about things they're uncomfortable with, that shows me I've done a really good job in providing a safe space. And that for me is one of the key factors for good collaboration, for being able to trust each other. So on my personal level, that's really one of the characteristics for me is if people approach me. And I remember really vividly in my last start, not this in this company, but like 2 years ago in a different company, everything was remote. And I was really struggling in getting to know people on that personal level because it was all remote. I didn't just run into someone in the coffee corner or didn't just catch someone at the end of a meeting or something. And after just 2 weeks, someone called me and talked about something they were really upset about. And then they apologized and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry that I bothered you with this." And I'm like, "No, that's exactly what I'm here for. Like, I want to hear what is like bothering you, what you think could be done better in the organization or in the team." So for me, that's one of my success measures is if people approach me. I thought about how to make it like tangible. It's but for me, it's I think a quality.
So for Scrum Masters out there that agree with you and that they feel that, you know, if this happens, if people can approach me with difficult problems or uncomfortable situations, as you said, then I'm successful. What tips can you share about creating that availability, right? Because, of course, for remote teams, even worse, because it's harder to create that availability. But what are the things that you have learned that help your team members trust you enough and feel comfortable with you enough in order to bring those topics with you?
I think the first one is to show vulnerability myself. So to say myself, and it can be work related, it can be personal related, sharing, I don't know. Yesterday I wanted to bake a cake, but I really up because I was busy, and then it's going to be a fun story and everyone loves about it. But I've showed vulnerability. I can say, I don't know, sorry guys, I'm not in a good mood. I just came from a really stressful workshop with the 5 most important people in this company. And I don't even need to share what happened in this workshop, but just showing vulnerability, just showing that, okay, I'm not perfect. I don't have great and perfect days, helps people in my perspective to then also approach me and saying, hey, I've had a really bad day, or this and this has happened to me. So I think showing vulnerability and You've asked for availability in terms of remote teams. I don't have the perfect recipe for that yet. If anyone does, let me know. Because I've noticed now I have a team, a few people which are co-located in the same office than me, and a few people who are in Germany. And it makes such a huge difference. If you just see people, it doesn't even need to be daily in the office, but like maybe weekly, once per week, you just have a coffee with them, or just even, I don't know, on your way out or way in, you have a few words with them. It's a complete different atmosphere with them straight away. So I think remotely, we somehow need to try to create that as well. So it can be something like just, I don't know, writing in the one team in the morning, we always write in our chat, hello, good morning. Just to, it's not contributing to any work, but it's just, we just symbolize, or like in the evening when someone goes home, they're like, all right, I'm going to go home, I'm going to go for a swim. And then someone else comments, oh, that's fun, I wanted to go for a swim in a while. That kind of conversations you have in an office as well, you kind of symbolize in a remote work. And that helps building a little bit of closer connections. And then also I would recommend to everyone, and I know for those who maybe don't like talking as much as I do, just calling people, just calling them and asking, hey, how are you? Or maybe if you see them in the daily and you have a feeling maybe today they're not on their best form, just call them after the daily and just say, hey, I just had the perception you're not in your best mood today. Do you want to talk about that? Is there anything I can do to help? And if not, that's fine. Then you can talk 3 minutes about the weather and hang up. It's perfectly fine. But just creating that room and offering it, I think that really helps.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great tips to create that availability and also proximity, people and emotional proximity that allows people to open up with you. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Franny.
You're welcome.
Hi there, Agile friends. Thank you for sticking around to know more about this year's Agile Online Summit. The summit will have 4 keynotes and 4 tracks you will not want to miss. The keynotes will touch on critical topics for us, from delivering on time to helping you to focus on sustainability. The 4 tracks are tools, so we'll focus on tools you need to excel at your job, but also your mission. We'll also have a track on sustainability, which is, of course, about people and their sustainable pace, but it's also about how do we bring sustainability to the products and the planet we inhabit. We'll have a 3rd track about happiness, talking about doing what we love and, most crucially, loving what we do. And finally, the 4th track will be live. It will be mostly hands-on sessions to help you roll up your sleeves together with the presenters. Oh, and we will also have a coaching clinic, as we usually do, organized to help you discuss and get inspired to solve the hardest challenges you face at work. This year, we'll have a special emphasis on interaction with your peers, so get your ticket and join the Slack at bit.ly/AOS 2022. As always, we have free tickets for anyone that wants to attend live, and the VIP tickets for those of you who want to keep the videos forever. So check them out at bit.ly/AOS 2022. I'll see you on the conference floor. Part of a successful Scrum Master job is to help the product owner. Tomorrow we explore that critical role in Scrum, the product owner role. Tune in to learn about product owner anti-patterns, what you can do to help the product owner, and a real-life example of what a great product owner is and what made it so. Tomorrow on our Friday Product Owner episode. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.